Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Jazz Trombonist Jennifer Wharton. We caught up with her in mid-April 2020 to talk about this strange new COVID-19 world. Her debut CD is Bonegasm, and these days she is a low brass specialist based in New York City. And things have taken off. She has been a member of 2 multi-Grammy-nominated ensembles, and she has a bright future ahead. She talks about this and so much more. Enjoy.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for taking a minute after Neon Jazz.
Oh, no problem.
I want to start off here and ask you, Bonegasm was your last CD.
First and last, yes.
Right, exactly. So give me an idea right now of kind of what it's like to just get people to buy your music now and kind of in this new world that we're living in.
Well, I got to admit, I was pretty lucky. I've been in the big band world for a long time, and I played on a lot of records that got notoriety. So I was pretty lucky when I made this record. One, I'm lucky to have all the people in the band that I have, such great musicians themselves, great band leaders, a lot of them. I was shopping it around to see if a label would like to pick it up. I was able to say that, hey, I've been on this record that's on your label before, and I think that kind of perked their ears up and listened to the project rather than deleting the email like they might do. In terms of getting people to buy music, it's kind of a depressing scene right now, because I think less and less people value music as something they should buy. We have a few generations of kids now, young adults, who have never paid for music. So trying to explain to them why they should value something is I think it's a losing battle. In a lot of respects. How I try to do it, at least with students and young people that I get to speak to, I try to say, hey, you want to make a living as a musician, who's going to buy your music? So in terms of trying to get people to buy my music, I think if they like it, considering the album as sort of a memento of a performance that they saw or something, that's the best way I can think of trying to convince somebody that, it's worth purchasing. But I do think, for whatever reason, all the social media stuff I did leading up to my album being released worked. I tried to explain to people the concept of the album, sort of running the group as like a classical ensemble might run it, to commission people to write for trombone, which is not usually where most composers go in the band. They don't really latch on to the trombone first, unless they're also a trombone player. But I wanted to encourage not just audiences, but composers to really value the trombone and explore what the trombone can do. So leading up to the album coming out, I was trying to explain the concept and explain, hey, I asked this person to write this tune, and this is, the things that we talked about and why this tune is important to me. And I think hearing a lot of the backstory made it more of a CD than it might have been, like just to say, hey, I made a CD, please buy it. Now they had all the backstory leading up to me making this CD. So and it sold quite well. The first week it got on the Billboard Jazz chart, which was totally unexpected. So I think, in some respect, without me not really knowing what I was doing, I did improve the sales.
How did everything begin for you? Where were you born and raised, and kind of how did you get into jazz?
I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, California, which is it's in the East Bay, San Francisco East Bay. Neither of my parents are musicians, and I decided I would play trombone in junior high and was handed a bass trombone when I was in the 7th grade. and quit playing for a while and then started up again last year and a half of high school, and kind of fell into music as a career by accident because I actually wanted to be a marine biologist or whatever, but we didn't know anything about financial aid, so I ended up going to the junior college in my hometown, which is Los Medanos College, and it had a great music program at the time. And so I just kind of fell in love with it there. I was surrounded by people that were really good musicians and striving to be better all the time. It was the first time I'd been in a supportive musical environment rather than my parents weren't really too hip on me pursuing it as a career. After that, I transferred to New England Conservatory and got a degree there, freelanced for a couple years back home in San Francisco, and then started a master's at Manhattan School of Music and didn't really dig it. All the while I was sort of pursuing, I didn't really see a lot of people playing bass trombone, improvising on bass trombone. So while I was playing in all the big bands everywhere I went, I didn't really pursue, go after improvisation like a normal jazz musician would, because I didn't see it. I wasn't aware of that being an option. It just kind of was like, oh, no one does that? Okay. I won't do it either. But then as the years go by and people started moving to New York, once I finally ended up back in New York and hearing, oh, no, people do it and people do it well. Bill Reichenbach, a guy in New York, Jeff Nelson, he's amazing at it, Max Seigel, Reggie Chapman, and a couple of the young players, Gina Benalcazar, Chris Glassman. They're great improvisers, and I said, in the midst of me forming my band, I was like, I need to add this to my repertoire. I need to, start somewhere. So while I had sort of dabbled, I mean, at most I would get asked to improvise maybe once a year, playing big bands everywhere. So I started really focusing on the tunes that I wanted to play, and it was coming from a place of love rather than a place of fear. I felt I would fall in love with the tune, and I said, I want to learn how to improvise over that. So, I came to it pretty late in life, but my band isn't about me so much as it is, the beauty of the ensemble and the writing. That's what I always wanted it to be about. So while I feel like for me it's important to, whatever I play has to be authentic, and I would like to provide beautiful melodies over, I'm not really a super technical player. You'd never see me trying to survive a bebop tune, but I'm going to sit there and try to make something beautiful for the listener.
What's been some of the best advice you've gotten from mentors over the years?
Best advice, say yes to everything. That's huge, especially as a freelancer. Say yes to everything. And something that's always stuck with me is, I think as musicians, we're constantly looking at the goal, and we're worried about when we're not at that goal, we're not at that finish line. And and I can't even remember who said this to me, but, they said, start where you are. So start with what you can do and then take that next step instead of trying to, take 15 steps ahead all at once. So that's been important to me, especially as someone who came to improvisation late in life. And, all the while I was performing at a high level. I make most of my money performing on Broadway. So I was living and, working as a professional musician. But when you start to learn something new on your instrument, all of a sudden you can't play in time, you can't play in tune. It's taking several steps back. So that was a huge blow to my ego. And so remembering that thing of start where you are has been crucial for me to not, just want to put the horn in the case every time.
What was the first live jazz show you ever saw that made you think, this is what I want to do with my life?
Well, when I was growing up, we would go to the old Yoshi's before it moved to Jack London Square. It's in Oakland. It used to be more closer to the Berkeley border. I can't remember what street it was on, but a group of us when I was in junior college would go, and I can't remember what the very first concert I saw there was because I saw so many, but I definitely saw McCoy Tyner, and I saw Marian McPartlin. I saw her
Wow.
play there. I saw Jack DeJohnette play there. Any number of amazing musicians came through there, and I really cherished that because it was the first time I saw, okay, people are making it happen. And coming from my background and no musicians in my family and never taking me to really live music, I was seeing this and going, okay, this could happen. And but to see trombone players kind of in the band, like making it work, I want to say, I mean, being in New York, I've seen so many trombone players, I can't nail one specific one down. The only one I remember definitely is the night I met my husband.
What do you like best about being a musician?
Wow. What do I like best about being a musician? I think I love that it means so much to me. I have had various day jobs. I worked at Starbucks. I worked at Bank of America. I worked at the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And doing a good job always means a lot, but as a musician, it's so tied to your identity. So there is something that happens when you play music, and you can never really anticipate when it's going to happen, but it's when the hairs on your arm stand up. It's when you get chills. It's when you just feel it in your blood. Something special just happened. And I don't know if people experience that in other careers, but with music it happens more than I've ever had in any other place in my life. And that is what is worth its weight in gold. It doesn't happen all the time, but I can cherish those moments.
So we're in a very unique position in the world with COVID-19 and quarantine and the live music and stuff, but we're going to get back to it. And when we do, what do you hope musician and audience member gets from this experience? What revelation?
Well, I do hope that when we all go back to performing live for people, I do hope that people will remember what it's like to not have live music. I do know that musicians are all scrambling to put out content right now, to remain relevant, to remain in the eyes and ears of people that are out there. I'm doing it too. And I've been a part of projects where people are trying to remain out there and still have a product. Part of that is because none of us can make music right now, and that means none of us can make money right now. But also, I just hope that us putting all this content out for free will not devalue what we do live later. I hope it doesn't continue to further the thought that music should be free. Music should be something that's valued, and the absence of live music, the absence of live theater, the absence of all the art happening right now should hit you in a place in your soul like it's hitting us. And I hope when we come back that people realize it and really come back with a genuine appreciation of when it was gone,
So I'm going to follow that up with, why do you love jazz?
It's been, like I said, I was on a classical path for a long time because I didn't see how bass trombone fit into the jazz world outside of a big band. And playing in big bands was always something that felt like home and felt like chicken soup for the soul, if I can borrow a book title. When I was in college, I played in numerous big bands in school and out, and it just felt like I could finally breathe when I was there rather than being so high-strung and worried about, playing perfectly. It's not that I didn't want to play perfectly, it's just that it felt more natural. So I feel like my role, I understand my role in jazz more than I understood what I was trying to fit into in other respects. I do. I really feel at home in a big band, and that's why you'll notice my band has 4 trombones. It's where I spend most of my time in jazz, so I would like to stay there. And it's a great sound, so why wouldn't you want to hear it?
So my final question to you is this. Everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans. but you're living your life. Who do you think you are?
Well, I'd like to think I have an awesome sense of humor. I'd like to think that I'm pretty authentic. What you see is what you get with me. And I like to think that I try to help people when I can. And I always want to put out music that speaks to me, that is gorgeous and tells a story. So I hope that comes across.
That's a great answer. Great way to wrap everything up. Jennifer, thank you for taking the time during one of these most unique of times on this planet and to talk a little bit about COVID-19 and your music and everything in between. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Canada, New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Jennifer for her time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.